Hello guys, welcome back to Avalon. So today I thought I'm going to do a little twin flame collective reading for us to see what's in the energy this month here of January 2026 for all twin flames. If you feel drawn by the title of this video, then this message might be for you. And if you're uncertain whether or not you are actually in a twin flame connection, trust the fact that if you feel guided to this video and if you feel guided to watch it, there is going to be a message in here for you. Maybe if not for a twin flame connection, then for a very deep soulmate connection. If you feel drawn to this could also emphasize that there's a message in here in regards to your own personal divine feminine and masculine energy. Twin flame energy is also an energy of really balancing your own inner divine feminine and masculine energy. So you don't necessarily need to have a specific person in mind here. You could also just watch this for your own inner energy here and how you can rebalance that and realign yourself here with your true life's purpose and mission. So let's see what the overall energy here is for the Twin Flame Collective. What's the overall energy for the Twin Flame Collective here, Spirit? What can you tell us? Okay, we have adventure. Adventure is the path to new worlds. Seems to me you guys are going through quite the journey here of rediscovering your true value and also realigning with what it is that you truly want in relationships and love. The adventure energy is an energy of great change and great shifts. I'm kind of seeing the death card in front of my eyes right now. In tarot, that card really stands for awakening, for transformation, for new beginnings and new starts. So that seems to be the overall energy here for the Twin Flame Collective. Let's see if we can clarify that a little bit. What's the divine masculine's energy right now? Okay, the divine masculine is in an energy of really spying on you, divine feminine. Really wanting to figure out where you stand. Maybe you guys haven't been in contact for a very long time. Maybe you guys are in separation right now and they don't really have easy access to you anymore the way that they had in the past. You know, maybe they're watching you on social media. If you have any social media accounts, maybe they try to figure out what's going on with you, where you stand through your friends. Maybe you share the same social circle, so they can easily reach out to your friends and maybe ask about you. They're very curious. They really want to know where you stand in regard to the connection. And that's also an energy of not being able to really getting you out of their heads, you know? They want to know whether or not maybe you are in another relationship, whether or not you have abandoned them completely. And they kind of feel rejected by your silence is what I'm getting here. So maybe in the past, you always tried to come to a solution. You always tried to find a resolution. You were always the one reaching out to them, making an effort, starting a conversation, really telling them what it is that you feel like needs to change. And they always kind of pushed that away or blocked that off. And now you have just stopped reaching out to them. Now you have stopped making an effort, trying to do all the work here when they can't put any work in themselves. You kind of realized possibly that there's no equal give and take in this dynamic, that there's no reciprocity. And once you have really understood that, you kind of withdrew your energy. And the divine masculine is feeling that right now. They want to have access to you, especially energetic access, but they don't have that anymore. So they try, you know, in a very three-dimensional way to figure out what you're up to, what you're doing, who you spend time with, and they might, like I've said, reach out to certain people that know you and ask about you here. They feel rejected by you. You know, they kind of, I think they were comfortable in this energy of knowing that you always try to fix things and save the connection and that they don't really have to move a finger here and meet you halfway. And now they realize, well, you know, she's not doing that anymore, or he is not doing that anymore, you know. They have changed, and I think they haven't really expected that here in the past, that you would kind of withdraw from them, no longer give to them energetically, but also physically no longer reaching out to them, no longer yearning for them in the way that you have in the past, and really saying, you know, enough is enough. If you don't meet me halfway, I'm out. So the Divine Feminine seems to really have put up a strong boundary here, and the Divine Masculine didn't expect that at all, and kind of tries to deal with that now, tries to get used to that now. I think initially it was a shock for the Divine Masculine to see that the Divine Feminine is not going to be this empathetic, understanding, compassionate person the entire time, and they can just behave and act however they want to, really not considering the feelings of their Divine Feminine. The Divine Feminine is drawing a veil here, or saying, enough is enough, I'm no longer doing this. And it seems like the Divine Masculine really had to get used to that. And they have a hard time being away from you and not having the easy access to you that they had in the past. So it seems like the Divine Feminine has really stood up for herself. Let's see what else is in the energy of the Divine Feminine here. Spirit, what can you tell me about the Divine Feminine energy here? What about the Divine Feminine energy here, Spirit? Okay, we have the card of fantasy, as well as the card of, let's see, soulmates. Okay. So, Divine Feminine, you seem to be more so in an energy of daydreaming, fantasizing about the connection and what it could be. I think in the past you were much more in a solution-oriented energy, in an action-oriented energy, really making an effort, really showing that you care, making it very obvious that you care about them, that you love them, that you want to work on things. And now you have withdrawn a lot more. You are kind of in hermit mode here, and you're going about your life having really distanced yourself, maybe even detached from your Divine Masculine, because you have realized all the hard work and effort you have put in didn't lead anywhere. There was no reciprocity taking place, so you kind of made a decision to move away from the connection for now, maybe trying to focus on other things. But the energy and this soul tie that you feel to your Divine Masculine is still very strong here. So you might catch yourself during the day really, being at work, meeting with friends, going out for a walk, being busy, but even in those times you still catch yourself thinking about your Divine Masculine, because you are very well aware of this very deep spiritual tie that you share, and you still love this person, and you want to reunite with them, but it's almost like you have made your peace with the fact that as of now this doesn't work, because the Divine Masculine hasn't done their work yet, or hasn't put any work in yet. There is a lot that they have to deal with within themselves, resolving past karma, and they have kind of ignored all of that, pushed it away, really, again, feeling comfortable in the fact that you always try to rescue the connection no matter what they are doing, and you have just stopped rescuing them. You have stopped rescuing the connection. You have made peace with the fact that right now this connection doesn't work, and you have to focus on other things because it became too energetically draining for you. So you have really put up strong boundaries here of saying, okay, I'm no longer going to take this. I'm going to focus on other things. Maybe you're traveling here alone or with friends. Maybe you travel a lot for work, and that's kind of serving as some sort of a distraction for you right now. But you're really trying to create as much distance to your Divine Masculine as possible, because the dynamic wasn't healthy for you anymore. But nevertheless, you love this person, you feel a very strong connection to them. You might feel like you're soulmates because maybe you're not familiar with the term twin flame, but this could also just be a strong soulmate connection. Whatever it is, you want to be with them, and you still dream about being with them, and you maybe fantasize about that, really imagining this person reaching out to you. I just want to encourage you to not stay in an energy of waiting, and live your life, go on your adventures, travel around, meet with people, work on your mission or your purpose, whatever creative project you might want to tend to that you have procrastinated. Spirit says really turn to that. Really focus on your hobbies, on your friends, on spending time with your family. Focus on the areas in your life that work out very well. Focus on the people that do show up for you. Focus on the people that you don't have to try so hard with, that meet you halfway, and really be grateful for that. You know, there's a lot to be grateful for. There's a lot that works out, and you don't have to sit in this energy of feeling drained and unhappy and sad that the divine masculine isn't there yet. You know, we're all on our own personal journeys here. In the twin flame dynamic, it's very common that the divine feminine kind of awakens first and is more connected to the spiritual side of the connection, whether the divine masculine is mostly focused on the 3D elements and energies of the connection. So they might take a little longer here to also open themselves up to the spiritual bond that you guys share. Maybe they're kind of afraid of it. Maybe they don't want to look at it. I see them softening up though. I see them kind of opening themselves up to that more, but it's going to take a little bit of time, and Spirit does not want you to wait on them and to kind of pause your life and postpone your own dreams and projects, but really to dive into them even more, to use them as a catalyst to kind of transform the energies between you guys. I think the divine masculine is also going through some sort of ego death here. They were kind of puffed up with pride. They kind of, it gave them an ego boost to know that in the past the divine feminine was very desperately trying to make things work. But now that the divine feminine is no longer trying but creating distance, focusing on herself, rebalancing maybe her own inner divine feminine and masculine energies, that's when the divine masculine sits by themselves thinking, oh well, you know, now I'm kind of confronted with the energies that she was carrying that I now have to carry by myself. And I have to adapt to that. I have to see whether or not I can work with that. And that's going to take some time, right? They have to kind of grow into that. And I see them opening up to that, though, a lot more than in the past. Okay, let's clarify this energy with some tarot cards. Starting with the divine masculine here. I'm going to pull a card for the past dynamic between you guys, then where you guys presently stand, and then I'm going to ask for a card in regard to the future of the connection. So starting with the divine masculine here. Spirit, what can you tell me? The High Priestess. Okay, so we have the High Priestess, the Five of Wands, as well as the Strength card here. Okay. I feel like the divine masculine really, they were hiding in the past from the connection. It was too much for them. If you're wondering, if you're the divine feminine and you're wondering whether or not the divine masculine felt this very strong spiritual connection too, yes, they have, here with that High Priestess card. But they have completely in the past detached. They weren't connected to their own spiritual wisdom, their own emotional wisdom and inner intelligence here, you know? They didn't focus on that maybe their entire lives. It wasn't a thing for them. You have kind of reawakened that within your divine masculine here, or, you know, the divine feminine has kind of made the divine masculine aware of energies and auras, and that you can feel very drawn to a person, not just based upon physical attraction, but also emotional and spiritual attraction, you know, that there's another element to it, that lust is not love and passion doesn't equal chemistry, and that there's a higher level in regard to certain connections that you might not be able to explain, but you also can't deny that it's there. You know, the divine masculine didn't want to focus on the spiritual element of the connection in the past. And I think that has led to some sort of conflict here in the present moment, if not with you directly, because I feel like you guys really aren't in contact, then within themselves. They're struggling inwardly here. There might also be struggles with, you know, outside friends or acquaintances in their life, but I see them being very mentally and emotionally conflicted about the fact that they always felt what you have felt, but while you were embracing it, they were pushing it away. They were denying it. They were pretending it's not there. But they always knew, like a part of them always knew that it was there. They made a decision to ignore that and to step away from that. And I see them in the present moment being very conflicted about that past choice because it wasn't the right one. They see now that they walked away from you, that they pretended like they didn't care about you at all when really they did. And when you maybe tried to talk with them about the deep spiritual connection that you guys share, they were telling you they don't feel anything, or you making it up in your head and that's not really real, trying to gaslight you and manipulate you in a way because they weren't able to face the truth of the connection. They weren't ready for that. This is changing right now. They're going through a transformation right now, and that's causing a lot of friction and conflict here within, really questioning, why have I done that? Why have I pretended I don't care? Why have I pretended to not have feelings for my divine feminine? Or why did I tell her or him, this is all in their head? They're really questioning their own past behaviors and choices. If this was a third party situation and this person decided to be with someone else, they did not do that based on clear conscience. They did that in order to step away from the spiritual bond that they felt. That was too intense for them. It was too much for them. They didn't know how to handle it. It was easier to go back to something that they're familiar with. And maybe that's a very surface level, hollow connection, where they don't really have to make an effort. They don't have to open up emotionally. It was easier for them in the past. They're now conflicted about that in the present. In the future energies here, I see the divine masculine overcoming this energy of struggle. I don't necessarily see them reaching out, but I see them over the next couple of months resolving their issues in regards to hiding away from the truth of the connection. I think around Leo season here in summer, your divine masculine is going to be in a completely different energy. Let's see about the divine feminine here, starting with the past energy. Five of Pentacles. Present energy is the Fool. And the future energy, the divine feminine is stepping into. Oh, get two cards here. The Moon and the Three of Wands. Okay. So the divine feminine in the past was in a lack mentality. I think there was a power struggle here in the past where the divine masculine wasn't able, did not want to give in. They did not want to admit that they were wrong. They did not want to admit to their feelings for the divine feminine. And because of their distance and emotional withdrawal, the divine feminine tried to force it even more, but I know you feel the same way as I do, but I know we have a very strong connection because I had dreams and visions about us. It's very real, almost wanting to convince the divine masculine of the connection, but that made the divine masculine distance themselves even more because they weren't able and open to receive that information yet. So I feel like the divine feminine was spiritually more advanced from the start and tried to really communicate what they were feeling in a spiritual sense to their divine masculine, and the divine masculine wasn't having it. They weren't familiar with those terms. Maybe you even tried to tell them we're soulmates, we're twin flames, and they were like, what the heck? I don't even know what you're talking about. Really dismissing you, really giving you the feeling of you're crazy, you're fantasizing, this is all not real, you're making this up. And you were really trying to work things out here almost in this desperate energy, pleading to them, really maybe even begging them, to hear you out or to find a solution for the connection or something. Really being in an energy of, I have to work this out because the divine masculine won't. And this might be a mother wound or a feminine wound that you carried in this lifetime or even in past lifetimes. I mean, let's be real, all of us women, we have kind of carried this idea of having to be the emotionally available, compassionate, nurturing, caring one who has understanding and compassion for all kinds of shit and all kinds of shitty behavior, and just really swallowing that and being okay with that and smiling on the outside saying, oh, I forgive you, I forgive you. That stems from generational wounds from the past, obviously, generational patterns. But I feel like the divine feminine energy right now is outgrowing that, really understanding their worth and their value. You know, when in the past you tried to manifest the twin flame connection from a place of lack, you're now moving into manifesting a true twin flame union or reunion from a place of really understanding your worth, your value, what you bring to the connection. And if the divine masculine is not willing to see that or to give that to you, you know, this energy of apologizing or trying to make things right, I see the divine feminine focusing on other things. In the present position, we have the Fool. The Fool is new beginnings, fresh starts. Aligns perfectly with the new moon in Capricorn that we have here this week. So this is an energy of really sitting down, getting down to business. What are the projects that you want to work on? No longer daydreaming about them, but actually taking steps to make them a reality, to come up with a plan and following through on that plan. It's focusing and reprioritizing other things. Maybe in the past you were kind of dwelling on the divine masculine, you were focused only on the twin flame connection, and I see you now kind of refocusing yourself on other things, on your creative endeavors, on your friends, on your family, on I don't know, college, on a vacation you're going to take, on something else, really taking your energy back. And the divine masculine can feel that. All of a sudden they don't feel their divine feminine anymore, and it's irritating to them, which is why right now in the present moment they're struggling. They're going to overcome it by summer, but I see you really focusing on completely different things here with the Fool card, really taking a leap of faith, maybe going out, meeting other people, maybe you're dating other people. The divine masculine can feel that energetically, and they do not like that. So all of a sudden they're confronted with the things that they pushed away and didn't want to see. All of a sudden it all comes up to the surface here, and they have to deal with that. So maybe in the past, you know, they took the easy way out and did the comfortable thing for themselves. Meanwhile, you were struggling here emotionally, being in a lot of pain. I see now the entire positions turning, where all of a sudden you see a way forward. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. You finally feel like you can focus on other things, having kind of paused the connection or stepping away from it for now because you know everything you need to know, and for now it's not working. So you might as well focus on other things or other people or other romantic potential partners here. And now the divine masculine is sitting in the energy of hurt and pain and regret and guilt for how they have treated you in the past, for letting their pride and ego get in the way, for being more focused on what other people in their environment might think about the connection, and then maybe again choosing someone else over you because it was the safer option, where they didn't have to emotionally grow and emotionally become more mature, and they're now regretting that. It wasn't worth it at all. But I see the divine feminine really coming out the other end here, realizing, okay, you know, I have to let this go for now. I have to release the connection for now and grow in terms of my own personal dreams, making them a reality, really stepping into projects that I really want to make happen. I'm no longer going to wait for this person. I'm no longer going to make excuses for my divine masculine. I'm no longer going to make myself small so that they feel bigger. I'm no longer going to accept the bare minimum. I'm no longer going to be okay with their games and their gaslighting and manipulative tendencies here. I'm no longer taking it. I'm saying no. I'm stepping away from an energy of lack and loss and into a more positive future here with a more positive outlook, where if in the future this comes back around and divine feminine, I feel like you know exactly that it will, you might turn around and at least hear the divine masculine out. But I see you really choosing yourself now and no longer second guessing your intuitions and no longer allowing the divine masculine to have any control over you. Like if there was a power imbalance in the past, I see it balancing itself because you have withdrawn. You have taken your power back. You have put up a boundary. You have said, no, you know, I'm off to something else now. You are not where you should be in order to make this connection work. And that's what the Divine Masculine is really thinking about heavenly. That's what caused an awakening for them. And now you're kind of in this energy of transformation and adventure, where you're both now learning to rebalance your inner Divine Feminine and Masculine energies. And once you have achieved that, there's going to be a reconnection here in the future, where all the deep feelings of the Divine Masculine that they tried to hide are going to come to the surface. And where you, Divine Feminine, are going to stand more in your power, hearing them out, but also telling them frank and clearly here, this is what I'm willing to take and this is what I'm not taking anymore. We either build this connection together and it's equal and we both make an effort, or not. So just be assured here that if this Divine Masculine comes around in the future, and I do see them coming around in the future, and I feel like you also feel them coming around in the near future, maybe around summertime here with this Leo energy that I'm seeing. You could be a Scorpio, by the way, very spiritually connected. I feel like you guys will in the future have completely rebalanced your own inner energies, and that's going to allow for a complete new and fresh reconnection between you guys, where things are going to be a lot more equal. I see the Divine Feminine really stepping into an energy of staying emotionally connected, knowing, that it's true. There is a very deep soul connection with their Divine Masculine. They're not dismissing that. They're not ignoring that. They're not pretending that's not the case. But they also know some time has to pass, and both parties here have to focus on themselves and grow and rebalance their own energies before a reconnection or a mending of the connection is even possible. So to wrap this up, the Divine Masculine going through an awakening where everything that they tried to push away for days, months, even years comes to the surface to be dealt with. But right now they're struggling with that. They're struggling to allow themselves to feel. There's a fight with their ego here. I think there is going to be an ego death here in the long run, but them really reconnecting to their inner emotional truth that they didn't want to see for a very long time, and kind of being irritated by how to handle it or how to move forward from there. And the Divine Feminine being in an energy of new beginnings, new starts, reprioritizing things, focusing on other people, on other adventures, on other projects, standing firm in her knowing that the Divine Masculine is going to come back around eventually, but they still have to work on themselves. Softening their resistance, opening up emotionally, learning to become more emotionally mature. Meanwhile, the Divine Feminine is growing and changing here in terms of, I'm no longer going to put my Divine Masculine on a pedestal. I'm no longer going to only focus on the twin flame journey. I'm going to focus on myself, that I feel good, that I am in an energy of optimism, and that I go after the things that I enjoy. And if I have to do that without my Divine Masculine for a while, then that's what it is. I know this will come back around. I know eventually we will find a resolution and we will mend the connection. And that's all I need to know. I'm going to enjoy myself in the present moment, dive deep into my projects here, into work, into focusing on the things in my life that work out very well. The Divine Feminine is realizing they don't need the approval or the support of the Divine Masculine to thrive in their lives. Maybe in the past the Divine Feminine thought that, I'm only happy if my Divine Masculine chooses me. I'm only going to feel fulfilled if my Divine Masculine admits to loving me as well as I love them. No more. The Divine Feminine is realizing they love themselves above all. They deserve more. They're not going to settle. And either the Divine Masculine wakes up, changes some stuff around, and rises to the occasion, or not. Either way, the Divine Feminine realizes they are going to be fine. They're on their own personal journey, and there's more to life, as crazy as it seems, than just the other person and the physicality of the union. There's also the spiritual, the inner reunion here with the own feminine and masculine energies, and I think the Divine Feminine is really starting to use that to her advantage now, really making things happen when in the past they couldn't focus on that. Okay, I'm going to pull an angel number oracle here at the end of the reading. Spirit, what advice do you have for everyone watching here going through this twin flame transformation, this spiritual evolution. Okay, 2 cards popped out. Let's see, we have 1010. So this could be a number that you see a lot. This could point to the month of October. This could point to, you know, the year of new beginnings. I mean, 2026, this year is a year of new beginnings. Your birthday could be on the 1st of a month, on the 10th of a month, or your person's birthday could be on the 1st or 10th of a month. But it says, trust the journey. Clarity, patience, momentum, insight, happiness, progress, self-discovery, unconditional love. It's time to turn your long-held ideas into action. Soon you'll connect with the right people, encounter favorable circumstances, and access the necessary resources. As a result, you'll experience joy and new opportunities. Trust the journey and have faith in the process. And the second card is the number 1551. Hold your vision. Manifestation, abundance, prosperity, dreams, vision, success. Focus on the positive and keep your attention on the outcomes you desire. Now is the time to invest your faith and energy into your ideas, pursuing your goals with all your strength. Your spirit is beautiful, courageous, and brave. Embrace it as you work towards your dreams. Beautiful energy. I feel like this is a message for the divine feminine here. Focus on your new beginnings. Focus on the things that do work out for you. Focus on the people that do show up for you, the opportunities in your career that you do get. There's a lot of positive shifts here in your life, and maybe you should turn your energy to that and not focus so much on the work that the divine masculine still has to do. They have to go and do that alone. You cannot do that for them, right? You cannot save them, you cannot fix them, you cannot do the work for them. They have to put the effort in and really face the truth of their emotions, and you cannot do that for them. So you might as well focus on your own life and making sure you feel emotionally balanced and stable. So I feel like there's also a message here to focus on the positive when it comes to the twin flame connection. So if you do find yourself daydreaming about your person, wondering, you know, when is it going to happen, or at some point they must reach out to me, or whatever it is, Spirit is really saying you can manifest a positive outcome and a positive reunion if you don't sit and wait, dwell on the energies, you know, don't do that. But if you find the next better feeling thought, so if you find yourself in an energy of lack, you know, kind of saying to yourself, oh, my divine masculine is never going to wake up, they're never going to get it, you know, they're never going to reach out. Try to observe that pattern, that negative pattern, and see whether or not you can make it positive in a sense of, well, I don't actually know what my divine masculine is going through right now. They might actually go through their own personal awakening. I cannot see that, I cannot know that because we're not in contact. And if I want a positive outcome to this situation, I might have to focus on the positive and not necessarily on the negative. If I focus on the lack of the connection, I'm going to manifest more lack. But if I focus on the positive outcome, then I'm going to actually manifest a positive solution here and a mending of the situation. So yes, trust the journey, trust the twin flame journey, hold your vision for your reconnection with your divine masculine, but live your life, leave them alone. And eventually they will kind of catch up, spiritually speaking. And the moment you guys have both balanced your inner divine feminine and masculine energies, this will come back around here in the future. And I feel like you already know that. All right, so that's all that I have for you today. I hope this was helpful. Have a good rest of your day.